Young Martin, a seed of change, Atlanta, Georgia, 1929. A boy named Michael is born into a world divided. He'll later take his father's name, Martin, and change history forever. Young Martin sees the ugliness of segregation firsthand. Separate schools, buses, even water fountains. But in his home there's love, faith, and the power of education. Martin's parents, both teachers, instill in him a thirst for knowledge and a belief in justice. He excels in school, skipping grades. His sharp mind and even sharper conscience lead him to Morehouse College at just 15. Here, he discovers the writings of Thoreau and Gandhi, seeds of nonviolent resistance taking root. The church, a cornerstone of black life, also shapes him. He sees its potential for social change, a platform to uplift his people. By 21, Martin Luther King Jr. is ordained a Baptist minister, his path set on a collision course with destiny. Finding his voice, the call to lead, the 1950s. America grapples with its own hypocrisy. Liberty and justice for all rings hollow for millions. Martin, now married to the brilliant Coretta Scott, becomes pastor in Montgomery, Alabama. His voice, strong and resonant, fills the Ebenezer Baptist Church. He preaches love, forgiveness, but also demands equality. Then in December 1955, Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat on a bus. Her arrest sparks outrage and ignites a movement. King is thrust into the leadership vacuum. His youth at 26 is an asset. He connects with the people, his words a mix of righteous anger and unwavering hope. The Montgomery Bus Boycott begins. For 381 days, black residents walk, carpool, endure hardship instead of submitting to injustice. King's house is bombed, he's arrested, yet his spirit remains unbroken. The boycott's success in 1956 marks a turning point. It shows the power of nonviolent resistance and announces a new leader on the national stage. Montgomery's Stand a City United. The boycott wasn't just about buses, it was about dignity. It proved that ordinary people united could challenge centuries of oppression. King emerges as the movement's strategist and spokesperson. He understands the power of media, the need for national attention. His message resonates. We will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. The boycott's success emboldens others. Across the South, sit-ins, wait-ins, boycotts erupt. King helps form the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, in 1957. It becomes the movement's coordinating force, with King as its moral compass. He faces constant threats, his life in danger, but fear never silences him. He travels the country, preaching, organizing, inspiring. His message is simple yet profound. Love your enemies, resist evil, and never give up on the dream of equality. King's leadership isn't without critics. Some find him too radical, others too accommodating. But his unwavering belief in nonviolence and his ability to mobilize the masses make him the undeniable face of the civil rights movement. A dream takes flight. Washington listens. August 28, 1963, over 250,000 people converge on Washington, D.C. They come from all walks of life, united by the dream of equality. King stands at the Lincoln Memorial, the shadow of the great emancipator looming large. The world watches as he delivers a speech for the ages. I have a dream. His words soar, painting a picture of a nation where his children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The speech becomes an anthem for the movement, its message echoing far beyond the National Mall. King's voice, filled with passion and hope, resonates with millions. He speaks of freedom, justice, and the fierce urgency of now. The March on Washington, a testament to King's leadership and the movement's growing power, forces the nation to confront its demons. It paves the way for the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a monumental victory, but the struggle is far from over. Section 5. Love's powerful weapon, nonviolence as the way. King's philosophy of nonviolent resistance, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, is central to the movement's success. He understands that violence begets violence, only deepening the divide. He preaches love, even for one's oppressors, as the most powerful weapon for social change. King trains activists in the techniques of nonviolent resistance. They learn how to withstand attacks, verbal and physical, with dignity and discipline. They understand that their suffering, their willingness to turn the other cheek, exposes the brutality of segregation for the world to see. This approach is not passive, but fiercely courageous. It requires immense strength to absorb hatred without mirroring it. King's message resonates particularly with young people. Students, many risking their lives, become the movement's foot soldiers. They face police dogs, fire hoses, and jail cells with remarkable bravery. King's leadership inspires them to meet hate with love, to overcome fear with faith. Section 6. Facing down hate through storms of opposition. The path to equality is paved with sacrifice. King and the movement face fierce opposition. White supremacists, threatened by the prospect of change, lash out with violence. Churches are bombed, activists murdered, fear stalks the South. King himself is constantly under threat. He is arrested numerous times, his house bombed, his life in constant danger, yet he refuses to back down. He understands that the fight for freedom is costly, that progress is often met with backlash. He draws strength from his faith, his family, and the unwavering support of millions. He reminds his followers that the arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice. King's courage in the face of such hatred is remarkable. He never wavers from his belief in non-violence, even when confronted with unimaginable brutality. His steadfastness, his unwavering commitment to justice inspires millions to join the fight for equality. Section 7. Beyond Birmingham, the movement spreads. In 1963, King and the SCLC target Birmingham, Alabama, one of the most segregated cities in the South. The campaign there is met with brutal police repression. Images of children being attacked by dogs and blasted with fire hoses shock the nation's conscience. King is arrested and writes his famous letter from Birmingham jail, a powerful articulation of the moral imperative to disobey unjust laws. The Birmingham campaign marks a turning point. The world witnesses the brutality of segregation, and public opinion shifts decisively in favor of civil rights. President Kennedy is finally moved to act, proposing sweeping civil rights legislation. King's leadership is instrumental in galvanizing support for the bill, which becomes the Civil Rights Act of 1964, outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Section 8. A mountaintop vision, triumph and tragedy. Despite the victories, King knows the fight is far from over. He expands the movement's focus to address poverty and economic inequality, issues that disproportionately affect Black Americans. He speaks out against the Vietnam War, seeing it as a drain on resources and a distraction from the fight for social justice at home. His stance on Vietnam alienates some allies and draws criticism, but he remains steadfast in his convictions. On April 4, 1968, tragedy strikes. King is assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, where he was supporting a sanitation workers' strike. His death sends shockwaves of grief and anger across the nation. Riots erupt in cities across America, a testament to the raw pain and unfulfilled dreams of millions. King's assassination is a devastating loss for the movement and the world. He is robbed of the chance to see his dream fully realized, but his legacy, his message of love, equality, and nonviolent resistance lives on. Section 9. The dream endures King's legacy today. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life was tragically cut short, but his impact on America and the world is immeasurable. He helped to awaken the conscience of a nation, exposing the sin of segregation and the need for radical change. His unwavering belief in the power of nonviolence, his eloquence in articulating the moral imperative for equality, and his unwavering courage in the face of hatred continue to inspire generations. King's legacy is not just about the past, but about the present and the future. His words and actions challenge us to confront injustice wherever we see it, to stand up for the marginalized and the oppressed, to be the change we wish to see in the world. His dream of a just and equitable society where all people are treated with dignity and respect remains a beacon of hope and a call to action. Section 10. Echoes of Equality, a World Still Marching. The civil rights movement, of which King was such a pivotal figure, was a watershed moment in American history. It led to the dismantling of Jim Crow laws, the expansion of voting rights, and a greater awareness of racial injustice. But the struggle for equality is far from over. Systemic racism persists, economic disparities remain, and the dream of a truly just society is still unrealized. King's legacy reminds us that the fight for justice is ongoing. It requires constant vigilance, unwavering commitment, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. His message of love, nonviolence, and unwavering hope in the face of adversity remains as relevant today as it was during the darkest days of segregation. Section 11. What will you do? King's challenge to us. Martin Luther King Jr. challenged us to be better, to do better. He called on each of us to find our place in the fight for justice, to use our voices and actions to create a more equitable world. He reminded us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and that silence in the face of oppression makes us complicit. As we reflect on King's life and legacy, let us ask ourselves, what will we do to carry on his dream? How will we answer the call to action that echoes through the decades? Let us honor his memory by working tirelessly for a world where his dream of equality becomes a reality for all. Let us be the generation that finally bends the arc of the moral universe towards justice.